Ahoy and welcome, everybody. Welcome to Horizon's Call. My name is Derek Sword. I use he and pronouns. I am your GM typically for our regular Horizon's Call games, and hey, I'm your GM for this too. I am the guiding compass as we navigate the treacherous seas of Damaris, and I am joined for this very special one-on-one by the one and only Mayor. Mayor, welcome, and say a little bit about yourself and your wonderful character, Acacia.
Hello, I am Mare. You can find me on Twitter at Archmage of Dice. I use they, she pronouns, and I am playing your lovely Centaur Soul Knife Rogue Stars Druid Acacia, who is finally ready to be done with carting around refugees. Not that she doesn't love them, but it's a lot of responsibility.
You can love something and still have it be a burden. Yeah, absolutely. This is a special character development episode for Horizon's Call. We have done two already. This is the third of four. So you can look out next week for Winnie's, and you can also check out our YouTube or Twitch for Scarlet and Proximuses. But this is a very special time where Mara and I are just going to sit down, explore a little bit about Acacia, tell some stories that might not otherwise be covered or told in a game that already has, four other people plus, any guests that we might have. So this is a special time just for Acacia to interact with NPCs, explore parts of her backstory, explore parts of her future, really anything that Mara wants to do. And it's for me to facilitate that. So that's very exciting. So let's set up a little bit here. So we are, because every one of our one-on-ones has been a little bit different. Let's set up where we're picking up with Acacia. So, Acacia is a centaur. She is a thief. She's a rogue. She is a member of the Thieves Guild, the Eve Walkers, which are kind of ubiquitous throughout the surface world, especially as a group, a secretive group of rogues, thieves, some assassins, but mostly leading into the thievery aspect. She is from the island of Soteria, which she finds herself unable to really return to as it's been taken over by Imperial forces, especially her home city,
Fuck the
which
Nereids.
was indeed, which was mostly burned to the ground. She is the adopted daughter of Darius, a half elf, and Curio, a warforged, both themselves members of the Eve Walkers. And Acacia has recently come into a new class. I say that as if she's somehow inherited something, and maybe in some ways she has. Uh, Acacia has taken on a level of druid, a couple of levels of druid at this point, and is kind of exploring that power as well, as she has always kind of heard this call, maybe from the stars, and that call has only gotten louder. So we're picking up almost exactly where our main campaign, our last main campaign session, ended. It's a couple of days after, and you are on the island of Undertow, an island that you and your party saved from a massive Hydra villain, rescued from that villain, um, and have been able to settle in a way this otherwise uninhabited island for the Koran refugees, the peoples of your city who had their home burned to the ground and were set to the waves in search of a new home, and you fortunately were able to find one for them. So we're a couple of days after your last talk with Rollin, and construction has begun on whatever this city is going to be called. There's not exactly a nameplate that's been placed in front of it just yet. Some people are calling it New Cora. Some people are saying that's a little gauche.
I'm
At the
I'm
at the
there. I don't
current
like that.
That's fair. At the current moment, it's just, it's Undertow. They're referring it just as the island as a whole, and they'll figure out a name at some point. So you you did have Rollin, who was Winnie's second oldest brother.
He's
He
the
did
middle
offer
child.
to he in so many ways. He and Winnie are both middle children, but they went like there's two paths a middle child can
Oh,
take,
that's right.
and they
I forgot there's four of
yeah
them.
yeah there's so many evangelials. Um, so Rollin did facilitate for a number of construction crews to come out and really start establishing this new town. So there are dwarves that are working on masonry, there are humans, there are goblinoids, plenty of different people. Where are you through all of this?
At some point, I'm probably working with some. I think you said they were bugbears. Like, and doing like talking with them about like what I want in a house because we're both pretty large and they understand the difficulties of having a not
Absolutely.
average sized body for most humanoids. So at least at the start, I'm working with them to be like, I need something that I can live in. I would like to not live outside forever.
So yeah, absolutely. Anoth is a nearby island that Roland did get crews from. It is mostly humans and goblinoids, not hobgoblinoids, goblinoids that have found a way to coexist and really intermingle between the two. And yet, bugbears are one of those. Like you can have goblins as part of a construction crew, but when it comes to those guys that are carrying the large logs over their shoulders, it's the bugbears. And yeah, you have 7, almost even 8 foot tall bugbears. A lot of them hunch over, so you're not even really sure what their real height is, but they get the big boy life, the big gal life, whatever it happens to be.
The
So
big bug
where
life.
exact big bug life, 100% within a shirt. Where would Acacia's home? Where'd she ideally place her home? Would it be near the beach? Would it be further inland?
Where's a majority of the current settlement being made? Is it like
So a
half
lot of this
inland, half beach, or it's going to be a port town?
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it is absolutely going to be a port
Okay.
town, and they do have a dock that's being constructed right now. They have all of like the fishing area and what's going to be a lot of the shipping commerce, but also it's kind of a sandy island and it's really hard to build on sand sometimes. So a lot of the larger structures, especially, are further inland where there's been, they're utilizing the trees that are already there. They're trying not to deforest too much, but also resources are resources. Um, and so, yeah, I think a lot of the homes, especially, are going further in and maybe even are utilizing some of the tree coverage for shade because you are also in pretty near the tropics. You're pretty near the equator
Mm-hmm.
of Damara. So it is also warmer here.
Just out of curiosity, before we keep going, what was the year-round weather like for Soteria? Because it is farther south of the equator.
Right. So Soteria was actually pretty temperate. I think as far as equator goes, I'm looking at the map here. Um, you actually had warm waters that would actually come through. You had like a warmer slipstream that would come through the shatters, and it actually kept Soteria pretty decent. Like Soteria wasn't it didn't have like a ton of palm trees. It wasn't that kind of like
Mm-hmm.
island paradise, but you had a lot of grassland. You had a decent amount of rain without actually having a rainy season. So it was pretty moderate as far as things go.
So this is a little annoying in terms
It's
of
it's
weather.
definitely warmer. As someone who has horses that shed, I have to imagine Acacia might be shedding.
It's not fun.
Yeah.
Constant grooming. As for where I would want to be, set up, definitely not in the main area where a majority of the buildings are going to be. Like town center. I'm not going to be like building my house around town center. So I definitely want to be. You need to take a quick walk to get to my place, kind of like how our home was back in Soteria.
Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely was a gallop away from the city, I think, for maybe some good reason. Absolutely. And I think that there's not necessarily a priority on, your group specifically, but resources are allocated to the people that need
Mm-hmm.
accommodations
Yeah.
as they should be. So yeah, there absolutely is. I think to a lot of the buildings, there are accommodations being made for, and this happens all over Tamaris because there are half ogres, there's like I said, bugbears, there's centaurs, there are larger
Halflings.
peoples. Yeah, there's every there's people from 2 feet tall to 10 feet tall, so we have to accommodate for all of them. So that's happening in the main buildings, but absolutely you do have the structure that is going to be your home. I should also ask, is this just Acacia's home? Are you planning on living with your dads again?
No,
Okay,
it's time to move
that's
out.
fair. That's it's the perfect opportunity.
I will have one. I'll
Uh,
have a guest bedroom if they need to stay over, but like, or a friend needs to stay over, but like,
for
they,
sure.
it's time they have their own place again.
I I think that there's like like Darius is just has like a little bit of a tear when you tell him that, but then like Curio's kind of hard to read, but there's like a little bit of excitement there. Have so
I'm
much
kicking
space.
them out of the nest. I'm kicking
Right.
myself out.
So yeah, the framework is already done on your house. You have ample space. Skylights are being built in. There's sort of combination going for also, your love of stargazing.
Mare did not think of
And
a skylight, but I'm glad you thought of it.
that's what I'm here
That's
for.
apt.
Yeah, very much like you had at your old house. There's kind of like the outdoor shower-esque thing for washing off. Yeah, it is a home very much built for a centaur that is not itself a stable. We'll separate those two things. Yeah, and you're doing a little bit of overseeing of the town. It is going very quickly. You imagine that with the man dwarf goblin power here, with the resources that they've bought, um, this town is probably going to be mostly done within a month, if not sooner. It's probably going to be just a few weeks where they are going to have the basics of this town. It's not going to have, everything that a well-established town has, like, a fountain and a statue and all the little pretty bits.
We're
But
not
it
gonna
is going
have
to
we're
have,
not gonna have chairs for everyone yet, but we're gonna have roofs over our
yeah.
heads.
You're gonna have roofs over your heads, and you're gonna have clean water to drink and food to eat. You're gonna have the bottom couple of tiers of your Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Um, What's so Acacia's checked at least that off, left the bugbears to do their job. What do your days kind of look like? Are you helping with construction? Are you overseeing stuff, exploring the island?
At least for a little bit, I probably would use my considerable horsepower to assist moving like large bulks of supplies because there's only so
Sure.
much. Get all the strong people to do what you can.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
over like the couple days, I probably let them do their job. I don't know how to build a house. I don't know how to do construction or carpentry or stonework. So other than moving things, I don't really do much. And maybe assist some of the council and give them information on like what we were able to find inland with the monastery. And I already gave Brenna all of the information we were able to collect in terms of the map, as well as the flora and potential fauna we could bring in, because we will need to bring in anything that's not a bird or a fish.
Right. And that is the nice thing about the halfling ships that at least have come in, is a lot of what they brought wasn't infrastructure, wood and stone and all that. A lot of what they brought actually was livestock. So they've actually started setting up where you're not really sure how well farming is going to go. Probably better further inland, especially with a druid like Brenna kind of checking things out. But at least right now you have some pens that have, chickens, you have pigs. You don't have to worry about predators on this island too much. So that's nice.
We took out the big one.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you do have, kind of the like I said, it's the early days of this settlement. And things seem to be going successfully. Brenna absolutely appreciates the information. She definitely goes further inland to check soil, see if things can be planted here, kind of check out and see what the local flora is like, and see what they could potentially grow here. Cool. Okay, so
I
I know
think
that you wanted to talk to Brett about something.
I was
Yeah.
gonna piggyback off of that. I think definitely one of these days where she wants to go inland, I would offer to go with her. One, to
Oh, absolutely.
at least assist speed wise, of course,
Hmm.
and then also show her around and like the scouting that we initially did.
Great. Yes, you make that offer, and she takes one look at her walking stick and her halfling legs and throws the walking stick away. And
How old is she,
oh, yes,
roughly?
in halfling years, she's probably in like her late 60s.
Oh, she's older. I didn't
So
realize she was older. Okay.
I mean, for a halfling, that's roughly middle age. You know,
Oh,
halflings
middle.
can
Okay,
kind of
middle
live.
age.
Yeah, yeah,
Perfect.
yeah. She doesn't have like she's got a couple of white hairs that she kind of hides in the otherwise brown, but yeah, she's just she's got some laugh lines, but she is not old by any
Okay.
means.
She's not like
You
Stargazer Nev yet.
No, no, Stargazer Nev is no one's exactly sure how old Stargazer Nev is anymore. Um, yes, and she happily takes up your offer for a ride further in. So you will travel further into the island, and she's kind of like just looking around at the plants, the area all around you, and you follow that very similar trail you had before. Other people have discovered since where other kind of roads had been partially built, fully built, these stone pathways
Mhm.
that had otherwise been grown over, that all kind of led to that monastery, the ruins of the monastery now. So you follow along some of those. Again, that lily of the valley just is occupies any type of flower around here. There absolutely are tropical flowers, but more often than not, it is that drooping white. It's a very pretty flower,
So pretty.
lily of the valley. And you crest over a couple of the hills because this island kind of does have some hills to it, a valley in and of itself. And are you heading towards the monastery, or are you just looking around in general?
Um, Brenna, is there anywhere you specifically wanted to go? And this entire like ride that I've been not I haven't been going like fast or anything. It's just quicker with four legs and a longer stride.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, but this entire time that I've been walking and moving through the forest, especially when we left the start of the settlement where there was less greenery and uh, for animals and just in general plants around, uh, instead of getting more at ease, I am a little distracted. Like I am listening to 5 million different conversations at once.
Um, yeah, I think that she probably picks up on that. So she answers your question. Well, if the things that I'd be looking for in particular are a watershed to try to make sure we have access to clean water, and pretty decent soil around here. The monastery probably is a good location since monks tend to grow their own food, so it'd be nice to see what they were potentially working on if they had established a place here. Um, Also, and I don't mean for this to come off any which way, but are you all right? I'm sitting on your back and I can feel how tense your spine is.
I might have had a secondary reason for accompanying you today, so
It's just because of how pleasant of a person I am. I understand.
that's just the default.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, maybe we can talk while I bring you to the monastery. There was absolutely a lake there, and it's fine now.
Good.
The
Then it sounds like we have nothing but time to talk.
yes, but yes, the water was fine. Don't know how much you heard about the Hydra, but
Oh, I didn't really, but that's interesting.
I don't know
It
exactly what
explains a lot.
it was. Some kind of blight Hydra.
But it explains why there's only really birds here.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. Birds, bugs, and fish and crabs.
All edible in their own way.
Um, but yeah, as I continue trotting along, probably following the path that you
Hmm.
said was here, trying to
Hmm.
stick to cobblestones as we make our way towards farther inland.
The ones that are already bushwhacked, absolutely.
um, I actually had a question about your affinity with nature.
Oh, all right. What's your question?
How did you how did that start for you? I know it's different. I've talked to a couple other druids. It sounds varied and different on many fronts.
It is. I've met several druids in my life, and even the druids that I learned from all learned in their own different ways because, well, you might have heard this before, but everyone connects to nature in a different way, and there are many aspects of nature. I knew a fellow once who was really into mushrooms, really into them. Could not connect to that fellow, I
Are
tell you.
we are we talking like drugs?
Also, yes, but also no. Um,
Okay.
no, he really wanted to be a mushroom and always talked about how they're an extant form of life and how they have consciousness and the psilocybins and they all connect to each other and some of the largest organisms are mushrooms.
Good for him.
I exactly, that's what I said. Not my kind of thing. And of course, uh, your friend Buck, in a certain way, was a druid, but one that connected to one of the more uh, I don't want to say damaging because that's not fair to what he does, but the
There's a term for it. I know
fire,
there's a term for it. I
right?
know what you're talking about because it's not uncommon for the centaurs to have to burn back growth in the everything. You know,
Right. Wildfire is just as much a part of nature as the growth that comes after it. It is a stage of it. So I don't fault Buck at all for that. Uh, but I came to learn Druidic magics from my mother and her from hers. We were part of a circle, I suppose you could call it a Druidic circle. Um, and I just learned to appreciate nature through them, and I've been connected to it ever since. Perhaps I was connected to it from birth, but the magic came to me when I started. I should say this. I'd always heard nature, but it was when I started talking back to it that we could have a conversation. Maybe that's a weird way of considering it, but that's how I consider it.
no, that makes sense. I'm only asking because I don't have that circle that you're talking about. You don't have that support network. And nature has been incredibly loud and it does not stop talking. And I just am finding it hard to concentrate sometimes.
It's very interesting, Acacia. I had no idea you were connecting in that sort of way. Um, what what's calling to you?
Mostly the stars, but it doesn't. The knots on that tree and what the tree are trying to tell me are still very loud.
Of course. Nature does have a unified type of language, it seems, and it all wants to be heard because it so rarely is anymore these days. But the stars, I understand now why you don't have a circle. I have never met a star druid before, but they tend to be
You muted?
literally tapped the my keyboard as I was moving my hand. They tend to be wistful individuals, and they tend to go exploring on their own, and they tend to find adventure. And that doesn't place you in one spot, just as the stars themselves aren't really in any one spot. It's easy to be a shepherd druid and have your flock. It's easy to be a druid of the forest and stay in that forest. But a circle of stars, you follow the stars, I suppose.
It's been a little difficult to sit down and listen and, as you said, have a conversation with everything that has been going on, especially since Soteria and Cora.
I understand that. We haven't exactly been in one place for very long to sit and talk. Um, Regardless, if you did want to talk at all about um, the stars or nature or any of that, I am I am more than happy to sit with you as long as it takes occasion. And I'm very excited for you for exploring this part of yourself, and I'm proud of you for talking back because not everybody does. Nature tries to talk to everyone. It's only some people that actually hear it, and it's even fewer that have the conversation.
I would greatly appreciate your guidance and assistance and maybe getting some of this magic under control. I also feel a little itchy, if that makes sense. Like I'm too big in my skin.
It's,
Do you
um,
have any idea what that could be?
well, it could be allergies, but
I
I'm pr
I don't
probably
I don't
not.
think I don't think it's allergies. My sinuses are fine.
So you are able to see you've tapped into nature. You have accessed it for some time now. Yes, this isn't a yesterday new sort of thing.
At some point, it happened some point between Cora and now, or Cora and Winnie's home.
All right.
I think the first point, well, I don't know if the magic happened, or I don't know if I was able to tap into that when we were in Elmborg, but that was my
Mm-hmm.
first step. There were druids in a underwater grove there.
See. Well, let's get to this ruin and this water and this open space, and we can explore a little bit more and see what you're capable of, and maybe scratch that itch.
All right.
So time passes. You'll maybe chat about just other things you're seeing, birds that you're seeing. Uh, Brenna is very particular about pointing out any fauna that are seen, any birds or lizards or anything like that that are about. And yeah, a few hours in, you end up getting to the ruins of the monastery once again.
I would also show her my staff.
She is very into the staff. That is a very good druid staff. And she yeah, she dismounts once you get to the ruins and instantly goes over to the waterway. Where it's green now. It's not necessarily swampy. This is the freshwater estuary that's kind of led into this far in the island and created this lake of sorts, bigger than a pond, smaller than a Great Lake, decent sized water source. Um, she moves and instantly just is running her fingers through the water and kind of calls you over to it.
Yeah, I'll kneel down.
This is a wonderful way just to see if how nature's talking to you. Uh, just run your fingers through the water and see if you can pick up on things about it. It's trying to tell you many things, but what do you think it's trying to tell you?
I will take a deep breath and exhale and follow her direction and just take a cup gently wave my hand through the water back and forth a little bit. You said the water was green, Derek?
It's the water is pretty clear.
Oh,
Like
okay.
it used to be super dead around because that's where the Hydra
I
was
see.
living. So like the shore has turned green once again, and it's pretty fresh and clean where you are.
I don't know if this is something it's telling me or something I already know, but there's clay deposits.
That's good.
But
It's whether you know it or not, it might be something it's telling you.
there were also a lot of not in the water, but under the bed. there's still creatures there.
Absolutely, there. Yes, the water is telling you that it's clean and it's drinkable and it's a part of nature. Perhaps once again. And absolutely, there are things living here, as there are things living everywhere. Good occasion. And she moves over kind of quickly, just like scuttling a little bit to like further by the monastery, where kind of the ground is a little damp from being this close to the water. Not necessarily clay, but more just like where there's patches of grass. And she picks up a big clump of dirt and hands it up to you. What is the soil telling you?
I don't think I have this one.
That's all right. It's
It's fuzzy.
it's
It's a garbled mess in my head.
try to use all of your senses when it comes to experiencing nature. And she takes a little bit of the dirt and pops it in her mouth,
I knew you were going to
rolls
do
it around
that.
a little
I
bit.
knew you were going to do that.
It's just dirt. Worms eat it too.
I know. It's
So
a little. It can grow some of the hardier plants, I think.
absolutely can. It can grow things like potatoes. It can also grow some tropical things. It seems like it gets enough water around here. It seems like it might even rain somewhat. The grass is long and green, which tells you that there's nutrients here. And the trees all around are telling you that if you plant underneath them, might not get enough light. But if you plant something with enough sunlight and wind and rain, it can grow tall, even in this soil. Let's see some of your magic. Um, what's a new spell that you feel like you've potentially what's some of the magic? What's some of the energy, the power that you've gotten recently?
Well, the stereotypical magic of talking to animals.
Oh, that's a fun one. I like that one. Have you met any fun animals?
I met a shark. Was it a shark? I think it was a shark. But I
You
didn't
did
talk to
you met a shark. You
it. Was a
you
shark.
pulled a shark
I
out of a
did.
bag.
I
Yeah.
pulled a shark out of a
Yep.
bag, but I didn't talk to that
Yeah.
one.
You did not.
Talked to a very chatty and hungry bird.
You did. You met a fun pelican.
I have hit things with light, imbued my staff with the power of nature. And I think I healed someone at some point, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Sounds pretty druidy to me.
Yeah.
Well, you said you met a shark and a bird. That's good.
The shark
Um,
was pulled out of a bag.
Interesting.
I met Winnie's girlfriend back at home gave me a bag that will let me pull aquatic animals out of it.
Pretty good gift. All right.
I was not
Um,
expecting a shark.
Well, that's the thing. Nobody ever expects a shark. Well, you at least met a bird, so that's good. How do I explain how to do this? I want you to think about that bird. Think about that bird real hard. Think about
Hmm.
how its beak looked, how its feathers looked, how the oils in its feathers keep its feathers clean from water and without getting weighed down, how its little flappy feet just patted on the ground, the squawk that it made, the way its eyes darted from side to side. Think about everything about that bird, and then think about yourself with your four equine legs and your two human arms and your human body. And boy, centaurs are weird. And you think about
You don't need to tell me. Trust me, I know.
think about yourself like that clay that you were talking about, like that ball of clay, and you reshape yourself, mush yourself into a little ball of clay, and then reshape yourself into a bird. Like this. And she snaps her fingers and turns into a pelican. Just like right in front of you. It's almost like I don't want to like make this a weird, gross werewolf transformation sort of thing every time that you wild shape. Um, but it's almost like the halfling form in a flash just kind of collapses in on itself and then just pop, turns into a bird.
Would I have
It's like the blink of an
seen?
eye.
Have seen a wild shape with the herds or anywhere?
Maybe maybe once. Like you've definitely encountered druids. I'm not sure druids have necessarily wild shaped in front of you.
I think this would be the first time I've seen a wild shape then. Like I
Yeah,
can't
that's
imagine
fair.
any circumstance where I would have seen that.
Yeah, a lot of druids in public don't do it because it wilds people out. So yeah, this absolutely might be the first time. And the pelican now standing in front of you just puts out its wings and like does a little bow.
You're a bird.
It nods at you.
I will stop and I will actually cast Speak with Animals. You're a bird.
I absolutely am.
Can all druids do this?
If they train long enough, yes.
This is a thing. This is a
It's a
thing.
thing. It is. It also might be why you're a bit itchy. I think your form knows it can take on other forms, and it's been itching to do so. So think of an animal, preferably not the shark, but an animal that you have seen that is preferably terrestrial or alien, and ball of clay, boop, and you're the thing.
Sorry, I'm kind of stuck on the logistics of this. Not the transforming part.
Mm-hmm.
I will end up with far less limbs regardless of what I choose. And that is.
Unless you pick something like a spider or a centipede.
Which I'm not going to.
Fair. Bear in mind that when you do this sort of thing, part of you changes as well. You have your mental faculties, but you can't really cast magic anymore. If you have magic that is you're already focusing on, you can continue the focus, but you can't cast new spells, especially because the Brenelic puts up the wings, don't really have hands anymore. Often. You also really can't carry things. I prefer it that everything that I'm carrying gets popped into the bird.
Yeah, I was
But
wondering about that.
absolutely, some people don't like that, and they like to shed their belongings and become a full animal. So up to you.
Oh.
You can't talk unless, of course, a spell like speak with animals, or some people can talk to snakes and that sort of thing. But you can do everything the animal can do, but also you can't do everything physically that you could do previously. So I know you're very strong, but if you turn into a bird, you will not be that strong. You will be as strong as the bird is.
Strong as the bird, strong as the animal. Okay, give me a minute. I'm gonna focus on trying to do this and maybe get that itch scratched. So,
Take your time. I've got hours as this.
so I didn't actually have to carry you out here. You could have flown out here, technically.
I can do lots of things that I don't do, but that's besides the point.
Okay. All right. And I will actually take a sit down, fold up all four legs underneath me, and begin to breathe and meditate, imagining a small animal, preferably four-legged and furry. I don't want to have to deal with learning how to fly right now, or
Fair.
suffocating on land if I were an aquatic animal. Just the shape of its four limbs, its little snout, and what happens after. I think like a good chunk of time. I think it's like a good 10 minutes. I'm sitting there trying to figure this out. Like it's not a short period before, similar to Brenna, it's not this werewolf transformation, these were-sharks with horribly grotesque and morphing and painful, but my body, my legs, my horse body, my hair, my arms just kind of disappear into light and float away. And all of my gear falls off and flops to the ground. And out of my top and my shirt and my wrap eventually crawls out a little weasel.
Okay, cute. All right. So little polecat Acacia,
Weasels are cute.
just they are. Um, Climbs out, peeks your little weasel head out of the clothing to this. I mean, pelicans are larger than weasels. This bird just squawking at you. Um,
Is the
I,
anatomy
I can't.
correct?
I can't remember if speak with animals is something that's maintained. We'll say that animals can talk to each
I
other.
have it
I
up.
think
I
that only
have it
makes sense.
right here. It is
Yeah,
duration 10 minutes. It probably like died, but we're both animals. It's fine.
that's fine. Yeah, animals can talk to each other. We'll establish that now. She looks at you. The bird head kind of tilts around. Looks right to me. You know, you're not a six-legged weasel, so that's pretty good.
It's weird having four legs.
Well, is it?
For me, four limbs. I normally have
Four. Okay,
six.
that makes sense. That sort of makes sense. Well, well done. You're a weasel. You're not going to be like this forever. Just I'm putting that out there. You can only maintain this for so long. It gets longer the more you train with it, so bear that in mind. But you'll only be like this for a little bit, and then you'll pop back. So make sure when you pop back, you're not in a really small weasel space, or it's
Gonna
not
be
going to be good.
yeah. I think I'm also gonna maybe train and practice and do what you did. And I wave my little weasel paws, like motioning to her in front of her.
Mm-hmm.
Absorb the gear instead of. And I just look at the pile of gear I'm in the middle of right now.
Make sure also that you can only change, or I should say this, you can only change into animals that you've seen before. I know some druids that actually change exactly into a copy of the animal that they've seen. So if they change into a shark with a scar over its, fin, they're going to have a scar in their fin. That's one way of doing it. I always prefer to kind of do my own interpretation on the animals and put a little bit of me into it,
Brenna Flair.
Exactly. So do whatever feels most comfortable to you, but never try to change to an animal that you've only heard about. That's when things get weird. You can look at a picture of one, but you have to see it visually to know where the things go.
So, in theory, if I train long enough and hard enough and I've seen it, I can change into an extremely large shark the size of a ship.
Maybe.
Maybe. That's fine.
The only very strong druids are the ones that can change into the really big things, and it's a specific type of druid magic that leads you down that path. You should be able to change into bigger and bigger things as you go along, but it's slow and steady, and I mean that literally. If you turn into a turtle, that's fine, but start small and start with, the easy things.
I think I'm just gonna take it slow and steady. This feels weird, but the itch is scratched.
Perfect. And explore around, climb a tree or something. There's no real predators around here unless the parrots are going to eat a weasel. So enjoy being a weasel for a little bit.
Weasels are ferocious. Tiny but ferocious.
Oh, that's the other thing is you again have your consciousness and everything, but also there's a little bit of the animal in there. So be aware of the animal urges, because if you turn into a crab or something like that, I would have to fight the urge
To eat
to
me.
a little bit.
It's a good thing I trust and know you, and you have a handle on your abilities.
Exactly.
Also, to be fair, doesn't stop pelicans from trying to eat things that they shouldn't either. And I just imagine
True.
back to the time I saw the pelican trying to eat one of our party members' arms.
Oh yeah, pelicans with like
Are
will
so
try to eat things that are
ridiculous.
so much bigger that are just in that pocket beak thing. It's
I love
horrible.
them, but gosh darn it, not the brightest.
Also, see how you connect to nature now that you can smell new things and the world looks different and sounds different. You should be picking up on far different things with your senses this way. And that's a fun way to explore as well. Say you turn into a bat. Say you turn into a wolf that can smell, very far away and smell things that aren't even there anymore. And
I
it's fun.
I notice I am lacking more colors in this form.
Yes,
I do I can tell that there are some bugs crawling under the dirt right nearby.
absolutely.
And something marked a bird did a doo doo. And it's
Yes, a bird.
I said what I said.
I know it, absolutely. Yeah, there's so many birds here. Who could the culprit be? Um, all right. Well, I'm gonna go and do more looking around then. Enjoy being a weasel.
She flies off, I'm assuming.
It's more like patting off, like it's
Okay.
just she's got the wings out and she's just like doing this
Waddle,
over
waddle,
again.
waddle.
Yeah, over to the waterway.
Yeah, I think I will do a little bit of exploring and looking around.
Absolutely.
Because I think it only like
Um,
what lasts half my druid level. I think it's like half my
yeah.
druid.
What?
It's like an hour.
Okay.
It's like an hour.
So in that hour, where does Weasel Acacia go?
I don't want to go too far. So
I don't think
probably
you could. Yeah.
I don't want to go too far because I left all my shit on the ground and I'm not gonna just leave
Yeah,
it.
you got little weasel legs. You're not going that far.
They're fast.
They are, but I'm just saying, like, in comparison to how far a centaur could go in an hour, a weasel is not meeting that.
Yeah. I will probably just look around the immediate area, snuffle around, maybe like catch a couple bugs, give into the weasel instinct, and if it's nearby, depending on how close it is, the monastery, take a quick look and sniff around in there.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, sniffing around, catching bugs, going into the stonework of the monastery, you're able to. So again, these are ruins. This thing was attacked by a hydra. There are parts of this building that have collapsed in on themselves. As a weasel, you can get into those little spots. You can get into the cavities that are left these rooms that would be otherwise blocked off by stone. And as you're looking around, you can see that, yeah, the, time and weather and everything else has worn at a lot of what was in these rooms. You find some of the barracks, that's the bedrooms, where some of the cots have worn a little bit. Insects are definitely in here, old desks, old parchments.
Ooh, I want
You
to
can
look at
find,
those. I want to look at paper.
yeah.
See if there's
So
anything
looking at
interesting.
the parchments, you're kind of like walking across it to read. Um, but you can see that there are absolute writings. There are philosophies from some of these monks who were spending their days, trying to learn about the greater good, but not through a deific sort of way, exploring what the natural world is around them. From what you picked up from Brigid was kind of like leaning towards the drunken monk style, but this monastery in particular catered to a number of different styles of monastic tradition. So there were some who looked to the sun, looked to the light and the heat that it gave. There were some who tried to harness aspects of four elements. There were some who utilized weapons, and you can find where there's some, rusty pole arms and other weapons that maybe Acacia hasn't necessarily seen. Um, you eventually get to, a dining area, find some very like almost calcified rotten food. What the insects didn't get to has just almost turned to stone with how long it's been here. And yeah, I think it's at a certain point you kind of notice that maybe time might be running out for you.
Once I feel itchy again, like my body is getting tired holding a
Hmm.
form that is not mine. Once I like notice that like I'm about to get too big for my britches, I will scamper.
And so you find your way out, you retrace your little weasel steps, getting back to the fresh air out of the stale air that was, the monastery, and kind of make a mental note, like there's other things here. If we're going to move this around, if we're going to rebuild this, then we have part of the foundations already here, but there's also things that we could utilize. And you get back out and you make one little weasel leap and pop, reform. This that starlight that you kind of turned into reforms into a centaur with yourself catching on all four hooves.
I will redress
And
myself.
absolutely. And as you do, Brenna comes walking over, now again a halfling. So how was it?
It took some getting used to,
Certainly.
but it was nice.
Good. Personally, I recommend having a handful of animals that you can turn into, depending on what might be most useful. I know that you, as an Eve Walker, tend to do a lot of sneaking around. It might not be the worst idea to try out a spider or a
A
rat or
mouse.
weasel. Absolutely. Fair enough. But something small that goes unseen. And maybe try out something that can track people, like a wolf or a bear, one of the bigger things. Just stretch out. See what feels good.
Yeah. Um, I think it's just gonna take some time and practice.
For certain. Also, because you, young lady, keep finding trouble wherever you go, I should warn you, if you turn into any animal, animals don't have the um, constitution that regular folk like us have, especially folk with magic. And so if you get hurt as an animal, that animal form can only take so much abuse before you turn back into yourself. So bear that in mind.
Bear that in
Bear.
mind.
Well, bears are probably the best thing to take into battle, but even then, a bear against a hydra, for example, doesn't stand much of a chance. So
I,
just
yeah, I think any I think my skills and talents in combat as an animal is just not going to be up to snuff what I can do in my regular form.
fair enough. Bears can't exactly throw knives.
Now I think about if I can throw one of my psionic knives in my.
As a bear.
I'm trying to think. Yeah. What if I turned into?
I'm not sure how that would work because you technically you keep all of your racial and stat skills, but I'm not sure how that would work.
I'm wondering if
Um,
I can turn into a monkey, and I can.
Chimps, I would say probably as a chimp because I think some people absolutely do like that. Oh, I turned into an ape. I can still wield my sword and all that. I've seen that work.
Anything with opposable thumbs. A raccoon.
Raccoon, yeah, an octopus. Turn into an octopus, you can throw all eight.
Are you gonna give me eight things? Will you allow me to throw 8 things in one turn?
I will give you 8 daggers. I'm not going to give you 8 psionic daggers. I will give you 8 daggers if you want to throw them as an octopus.
Please, I'm begging. That'd be funny.
So Brenna at this point has taken a look around, has established, a lot of what they could probably use as farming space, especially around the monastery, since monks need something to do.
And
But
they're
they could at
probably
least,
overgrown plots too.
for sure, yeah. And so you found plenty of acreage that you could probably adapt to farms, grow some of those hardier vegetables, grow some of those tropical plants, stuff that can deal with the rain and the heat. Um, and yeah, it's gotten later in the day at this point, and she motions to you and she says, I think we're probably done here if you had any inclination to head back.
Yeah, I think I'm about ready. I want to get some dinner and I have an errand I need to do tonight, so.
All right. Well, um, that's also the other thing about being a druid is you don't always have to go hungry if you don't want to, and you can always make your own food if you know the right spell for it.
But I can go for like some stew. Not.
Oh, I absolutely understand. But if you ever need a good berry, let me know. And I'll
um,
teach you more spells as well. I've got a little repertoire of them.
Thank you. Uh, you want to hop on and you want to go fast back?
I tell you what, I will race you. And she reforms into a quarter horse, which kind of like she, puts her hooves out, kind of kicks back a little bit, shakes the mane, looks at you and like little horse wink, and then goes running off down
Oh
the path.
gosh, I let her get a head start, and I will catch up, and then whoop her ass.
Absolutely. Um. Okay, so you both get back to the construction of the town. Um, where do you head once you're back? Again, you're a little bit further away from the beach at this point, but it is accessible. You can see where the town is looking off to the west, so you can see the sun is setting at this point. And yeah, people are kind of wrapping up for the day. There's not as much, work doesn't really happen at night. So folks are going back to their tents, they're getting food prepared, all that. Where would you be heading?
At this point, I would just be killing time until it gets properly dark out. So, probably having dinner with my dad's or whoever else is available. It could be just about anyone that I know anyway. So, dinner.
Yeah,
That's really the big thing. Maybe like
yeah.
people watch.
Um, Communal food is absolutely prepared, much like you said. There's stew pots that are made for the workers for the Corins as well, and I will I will say for the sake of continuity for a previous one, you would also see that Scarlet and Marcus are heading back to the Bloodhound on a rowboat about this time.
Listen, that's their business.
That is absolutely their business. Um, so your dad's, kind of sit down with you. You have a few of the other Corins around. You all are not cliquish, but you're the people that other workers kind of come in and chat as well. I feel like Curio is the kind of dad to be like, so what kind of hammer are you using? Ball ping. Interesting. Interesting. I would have gone with a mallet, but no, I'm not. No, I'm not telling you how to do your job. No.
I
Did you measure twice? Cut
I will
once?
give Darius the most embarrassed look. Like I don't know him.
Kind of wood is that? Oak. Real sturdy. Real sturdy. Yeah,
Dad.
for sure. For
Dad.
sure. Huh? Oh no, it's just guy talk. Guy talk. Yeah.
You're
Um
terrible. Let them do their job.
and he finally comes and sits next to you, not really needing to eat. Um Darius turns to you and says, "So, how did your day go with Brenna?"
Well, I don't. We got a lot of done.
Good.
She's very
It's
nice.
good to
She's
hear.
very informative and knowledgeable.
She is all of those things.
I
If
turned
there's,
into a weasel.
I'm sorry, you did what now?
I turned into a weasel.
On purpose, or do I need to have a stern conversation with Brenna?
Intentionally.
Oh,
I don't know if I've told them about this. Derek, I don't think I've said anything.
okay. I know we have a lot of LGBTQ plus people in our community. This feels like coming out to your dads. Dad, I really need to talk to you. It's really important.
I'm a druid.
I'm a weasel. Yeah, I'm a druid. I was unaware that was something you could do. But your dad and I are always in support of you.
This does feel like a
And
coming out story.
anything you want to turn into. Just, I know you're going to be the best weasel.
Druid.
Druid. It looks over to Curio. Druid. Druid. All right. That explains
With
more
all
of it.
everything that's been going on, I just realized I didn't tell you what's been going on.
Now this feels like you're telling your parents you do drugs. And how long have you been on Druid?
Was that an actual question?
Yeah. Well, they're asking, how long have you been connecting with nature in an arcane way?
Since Almborg.
Interesting. I mean, it makes sense. I know that some of the centaurs, a lot of the centaur herds, tend to connect with nature in their own way, and it might be a sort of ancestral sort of thing that was remnant from you always having.
I babbled a lot about the stars as a kid. You can say it.
Well, you did, which is also why we sent you to Stargaze and Ev and Bass, and it makes sense, and I'm proud. I'm proud that you are figuring it out.
It's weird, but it doesn't feel wrong.
Good. Then it's probably right. You've always been able to trust your gut on things, and it sounds like turning into a weasel is something you were meant to do. Have you tried other animals?
No, not yet. Why? Are you trying to suggest a certain animal? Or are you trying to also figure out the logistics of me turning into a full horse like I have been thinking about the last hour?
I am not going to dignify the second question with a response. No, I'm just curious about your abilities and how far they've come along. Your dad and I trained you for many, many years on how to be stealthy and sneaky and kill people with knives, and this is new, and I'm curious about it.
I have not gotten far.
All right.
Very weak, especially in comparison to my current abilities and other druids you've probably met.
Well, we support you regardless. If there's anything we can do to help you grow in your magic, we are behind you all the way.
Thanks. Speaking of supporting me and any choices I decide to make, I wasn't going to talk to you about this now, but now's as good a time as any.
All right.
First question is do you or any of the other Eve Walkers plan on making a full guild hall here?
It's not something we talked about, but I suppose I was going to see how many Eve Walkers ended up here in the first place. It's not a bad idea to establish ourselves early. There are absolutely competitors, and I would rather it us than them.
Okay. With that information, if you do make a guild hall or start establishing with the folks that came here, if anyone has a job for me, I'm not going to be taking jobs for a while. I'm going to take a leave of absence.
Sabbatical, of course. I will mark your ledger as such.
Thanks.
Of course.
My friends and I got a lot on our plates, so I don't think I can focus on guild work right now.
Sounds like you have a lot to focus on, Acacia. I, again, support that. You won't need to worry about the Eve Walkers breathing down your necks. There's plenty for us to do and plenty of us to do it.
I figured. Thanks.
Of course. Any other surprises or anything else we need to know?
No, those were the big ones. I can't
Fair
think of
enough,
anything
then.
else.
All right. Well, keep us updated on your exploration of being a druid. I'm excited to learn more.
We'll see how it goes.
Of course.
Maybe I'll try the
Um,
cat or a bird next, because having 4 limbs was weird.
Certainly. Yes, I suppose aside from insects, not a lot of six-legged
Mm-mm.
animals.
Mm-mm.
Yes.
I don't even want to think
All
about
right.
flying.
I mean, you learned how to gallop. I can't imagine that flying is outside of your realm of understanding,
I
but
can do it
I'm
probably, but like learning
sure
how
you
to
can.
do it, I'm gonna be like a
Hmm,
fledgling falling out of the nest.
That's what practice is for.
I'll make sure to be an annoying seagull and perch right on top of your house.
Wonderful. Um,
How about this?
so
Seagull or rooster?
how about we're now living apart. Don't make me regret it.
I love you.
I love you. Um, the night goes on a little bit, and your dads go to bed down in their tent. Their home, like most, not yet finished, not with a roof over top of it, and there's no sense in sleeping in a construction site. Um, I will say that there's a I don't know how do I say this. You would note something off in the waves a little bit because you all are kind of on the beach. This is where a lot of the dining area is. There's almost like a glint coming from something in the waves, like something is reflecting a light that isn't really there and is trying to get your attention.
I'm trying to see in my inventory if I have a spyglass. If even if I don't, I feel like I probably would have nicked one from the the Redemption's inventory at some point.
Yeah,
So I'll.
yeah. I would say this isn't far. This is like in like the tide, the surf.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like out at sea.
Yeah, no, this is close, which is what's kind of weird. Like you're not exactly sure where the like even with the tide, the light is staying stable. So as the tide moves out, the light is just slightly above it.
Okay. In that case, I will let my curiosity get the better of me, and I'll go walking over.
So as you walk over and your legs get a little bit into the water, just that little bit of surf that kind of comes up at night when it's high tide. And you would feel a tapping, I'm gonna say. As the tide comes up, there's a tapping on your left leg that your brain takes a second, but it's a type of thieves' cant.
Which left leg?
Oh, your front left leg.
What is the message?
It's just I'm gonna say it's something along the lines of like hello, long time no see. And as Acacia makes that face, a very familiar, I'm gonna say not very familiar, but a familiar feminine form comes up from the surf, and you would recognize the Nereid that you met
Oh,
in the Whalefall Court.
I would say you're.
Otherwise, and yeah,
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, finish.
I was gonna say she was otherwise invisible in the waves. She basically has formed herself from the water and is just standing there. She has a little kind of like glowing stone, which is probably what you saw as the glint, and she just kind of wraps it in her hand and puts it in a pocket. Hello.
You're far from home base.
Sort of.
Yes, water's probably your home, but like the Whalefall Court's not necessarily nearby to my knowledge.
Well, a little bit of everywhere.
So, what do I owe this pleasure? Did I get her name, Derek? I can't remember.
You didn't.
I didn't think so.
Yeah. I had heard that you all were establishing a new little town, and in the neighborhood, I thought that I would stop by just to be neighborly and see how things were.
What's the catch? What do you
No
want?
catch. Nothing right now. I'm just here because you showed the proper respect to the Whalefall Court, and so the Whalefall Court is showing respect in return. I'm doing my due diligence, Acacia, and making sure that we have nothing to worry about.
I'll hold out my hand for a handshake.
And she, yeah, very much puts a hand in yours and shakes it.
What should I call you?
That's right. I didn't tell you my name. The best name that I could find is Eudora.
How do I spell that, Derek?
Eudora.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Write that down.
I know you're an Eve Walker, and I just wanted to see if your new settlement was going to be representative of that organization, or if you were looking for other applicants.
Are you looking for a new place to join?
Join, no, but the Whalefall Court is always looking for new investment opportunities. You are creating a port town, which is always important, especially one so closely located. Location. You're within decent sailing distance of Hillholm and Acacia and Anoth, even the Golden Passage. That's prime real estate.
You want to have a little understanding and alliance going on.
If
A,
alliance
a
is,
beneficial relationship. That's better.
I would love a wonderful relationship, a friendship.
I personally am taking a leave of absence from guildship for personal reasons at the moment, but I will make sure your message and the desire to be helpful to each other gets to the right people.
I appreciate it.
And what would be the best way for them to get in contact with you?
If they're high enough up, they know how to reach the Whalefall Court.
They probably are. I have no doubt in my mind they know how to contact you in that case.
Worst case scenario, all messages in bottles eventually reach us.
All right. I'll let them know. This was an unexpected but not unpleasant surprise.
Again, you have been nothing but courteous and a proper representation of the wonderful friendships that different guilds can have. And as such, if I could offer a bit of unsolicited advice.
I wave my hand at her, as in to go ahead.
You will not be, and exclusive of the Whalefall Court, you will not be the main criminal power should you have the Eve Walkers in this location. They keep themselves very quiet, which is probably how they've been able to gain as much power as they have. But you have to understand that there is the Rosecrest family on the Hillholm who actually run everything in this part of the waters. They have their little fingers in almost everything. There might be mayors and governors on Hillholm and all of that, but when it comes to actual elections, it's the Rosecrest who decide who's actually in power. So whether you're going to operate this place as a fence or a headquarters or any of those things, I would either seek an alliance with the Rosecrest or at least a business relationship, or I would seek to overthrow them.
Derek, do I know anything about the Rosecrest family?
I'm going to say the name has probably come up for Eve Walkers especially for this part of the water. They do keep themselves pretty quiet. I mean, it is a mafia family. So
It's a
they're more.
halfling mafia family, right?
It's a halfling mafia
Yes,
family. Yeah, absolutely.
I love
Yeah,
halfling mafias. They're my
they're
favorite.
so great. Yeah, for my love of Eberron, this is the halfling mafia.
Yes.
Um, so yes, the Rose Crest are kind of like people know what they do, right? They know when something has the Rose Crest like hands on it, but it never gets back to anybody who could actually do anything about it. There's never enough proof, right? It's like, oh, this person went missing, this, shipment went missing, whatever. We know it was them. We can't prove it was them. And
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, they are kind of like a noble family. Like some of the ships that came to you likely have Rosecrest members on it.
Mm-hmm.
That actually like wear little rose badges as little symbol of like, hey, don't fuck with me. Like if
I got
if you're in the know,
connections.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
So yeah, the Rosecrests are basically in because Hillholm is one of the bigger islands. It has a lot of resources to it, and they control all of
Okay.
it.
I've heard whisperings of them, and I'll make sure your unsolicited advice gets to the right ears, because especially as a new port town with questionable legal means, that's good to know.
Mhm.
And the last thing I want to do is relocate again.
I don't think that would be necessary. You do seem to have many enemies, but you also have a strange talent for making friends. So consider us friends.
May I ask you a quick personal question?
You may always ask.
How, as a Nereid,
Sure.
how far does your perceptive reach go in terms of your own personal information gathering?
Um,
Not as a specifically as a guild ship, but you're connected to water. Domaris is mostly water.
So, just to make sure that I'm clear on the question, are you asking if like she can perceive things that are beyond like normal humanoid perception?
Yes, I want to know how far her information gathering goes. Partially as like a Nereid, just the fact that she's water and she can like be water, but
Mhm.
how what's her info gathering like? Like what is she capable of?
Um, Interesting question. Personally, I can hear and see and all at the same distance as you, but my ability to turn otherwise unseen in water absolutely has its advantages. I have been many places I'm not supposed to be, particularly beneath the waves.
Right.
And so I have lots of information on the ongoings of the war, all of which I report back to the Whalefall Court to make it best informed on its future investments. But I have seen the rise and fall of Sahwagan kings. I have held court unknowingly at Triton Dominarchies. I saw how well you handled that Jin, the Marid.
In that case, if I might ask a personal favor, which you I will owe you one.
I always like these types of transactions.
I'm looking for someone. Maybe not looking, but somebody I want to know the location of for future reference. They used to be a resident of Korra.
Hmm.
After the Nerians fucked us up and took over,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where he went. So if you wouldn't mind keeping an eye out for a halfling by the name of Panvir, now only having one eye, I would be in your
Oh,
debt.
good detail. A one-eyed halfling named Penveer. I will look for him, and I will let you know when I find him.
Thank
Not
you.
if, of course.
Thank you. Have a safe trip back, but I do have an errand to run tonight. This has been a very good conversation.
I'm glad. I hope all of our conversations can be as such.
Someone will be in
And
contact with you.
and she like with almost like not even walking, just kind of fades into the water and is gone with the tide.
She's so cool.
It's cool.
Nerds are cool. Before we go to break, I will
Hmm.
relay all that information to Darius and Curio.
Okay. Yeah.
Minus the fact that I'm looking for Panveer.
Fair enough. Okay. So they're in their tents, like you've already dropped a couple of bombs already, and then you just open the tent and throw that at them. And it's just like Darius, like, okay, all right, please, no more.
Okay, dude, I wouldn't have bothered them, but if they were
No,
awake.
I know, I know. It's just the oh hey, Dad's a druid. Hey, by the way, hey this. Okay.
Also, the
Um.
Rosecrest family and the Whalefall Court
All
want to be friends.
folks, stick around. This I should have mentioned at the top. This is a pre-recorded episode. I should have mentioned a couple things at the top now that I realized that I didn't. This is a pre-recorded episode, so as always for Horizons Call, if you enjoy this cast, you enjoy this crew, if you enjoy this story, which honestly, how could you not? The best way to support us is through our Pally, which you can see in chat, pally.gg. And anything that you are able to tip there gets evenly distributed between our cast. That doesn't take the cut that Twitch does. So if you donate through Twitch, that's much appreciated. It goes directly towards the channel, all that kind of stuff. But highly support tipping us through the Pally account. And if you do, you get to impact this game at certain levels. Obviously, since this is a pre-recorded game and that's not how time works, anything that you were able to impact will get paid for to the next actual live show that we have. So bear that in mind. But otherwise, we are going to be back in after a break that is pre-recorded. So however long that takes, 5 to 10 minutes probably. And we'll see you then. Take care of yourselves. Be right back.
Bye. All right.
Vast and welcome back to Horizons Call,
Hello.
everybody, for this special pre-recorded episode, this character development episode between me and Mare for the wonderful one and only Centaur Druid Rogue
In
named
a
Acacia
nautical campaign.
in a nautical campaign. I was gonna say there's probably not a lot of Centaur Rogue Druids anyway, especially not named Acacia. But just to make sure that we're talking about the only one. If they're actually, you know what, if you are in a nautical campaign and you play a centaur druid rogue named Acacia, let us know.
Hit us
What
up.
circle did you go with? Yeah, are you also did you also take Cyblight or whatever it is? The
Soul knife.
Soul Knife. That's
It's
right, because
okay.
psionics doesn't exist.
I
Um,
would. You could make them exist.
I my thought is if Wizards of the Coast backed out, if Wizards of the Coast cowered out on bringing psionics in because it was an unearthed
I
arcana thing, and
heard,
even they were
yeah.
like, oh no, we can't do this.
I just
So
remember the
I
whole
certainly
3.5 ish debate of like, are psionics and magic the same thing? Does dispel magic work on psionics? Or do you have to have dispel
yeah.
psionics? It was a whole thing. And
It was basically bringing like Marvel mutants into D&D.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind exploiting that little loophole.
Oh, an anti-magic circle.
Yeah, fuck
Oh
that.
well. um Great. Well, let's jump back into it. So we're gonna pick up pretty much right where we left off. So it doesn't need to be spooky music.
No, it does not.
Uh no, we will pick up as the night continues after your interaction with the Nereid, now named Eudora, after informing your dads that the Whalefall Court has interest in building a relationship with the Evewalkers, at least at whatever port city you all are building right now, and also that you all might have some competition in the area should you want to actually do criminalities or make this a fencing operation, especially if you all want to pirate at all and then come and
Mm-hmm.
fence goods. You're gonna have somebody else saying, threatening to break some knees.
Note to self:
So,
tell crew about Rosecrest.
mhm.
Underline that for the next session we're all together.
We'll have a lot of catching up to do. I will do my best to recap all of your stuff and press it down. Um, okay, so the night goes on. It is pretty quiet now on the island of Undertow. Like it's mostly just insect noise further towards the inner part where the forest still kind of stands. But most people have gone to bed. There's a few groups, and especially workers, who are still sitting around, these dwindling fires and chatting, sharing stories, drinking, whatever they do. Where would Acacia be going?
I have a quick question before I tell you where I'm
Sure,
going.
absolutely.
Where has Rollin been staying?
Rollin, that's a really good question. I'm gonna say Rollin has a tent because I don't think that he'd be leaving the island. Um, because well, he technically has teleport, but he doesn't have a teleportation circle, and he is not the kind of person who wants to teleport far without a circle unless he doesn't have to, if he doesn't have to.
Why waste
So
that fifth
I'm gonna
spell slot?
yeah. So I'm gonna say that he has a tent which is very much like how Acacia's home is more on the outskirts. His tent is more on the outskirts. He's built it kind of on that hill that he wants his whatever his lab built onto. So he's kind of like raised above everybody as well as kind of set apart.
Okay. That's what I had a feeling it was, because where I'm going is actually the highest point on the island, where, if I remember correctly, is where he's building his lab.
It's pretty nearby. Yeah, yeah. He is not like on that peak or anything, but he is. So construction of that has already kind of begun as well. So there
That's
are
what I thought.
foundations that are being built, but you can absolutely reach that high point. It's still accessible on foot.
Yeah. So after it has gotten good, well, and dark out, it doesn't. People don't need to necessarily need to be sleeping. I don't need to be. I don't need to sneak around to go stargazing. But
No, no,
I will begin making my way towards the highest peak, probably having to pass by his tent. I will be quiet. I'm not going to bother him. I'm not going to bother him because that's a talk I don't want to have.
noted.
Derek, if you. That's not a talk she wants to have. Derek, on the other hand, if you have anything you need to say, be my guest. But I will walk past and begin heading up towards that hill, to the highest point on the island.
Yeah, Roland does not stir. As far as you're aware, you're not even sure if he's even in his tent. Is what I'll say as you walk by. But yeah, you absolutely you will walk through some of the foundations. Again, he is more working with stone. What he has kind of talked about is that his lab will be part of some of the fortifications for this town. So there are actually like being towers built, which might actually hold cannons to defend the town from, ships. If any pirates try to attack your town, this will be where some of the fortifications are.
It's our turf,
So
bitch.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And it's, like I said, it's an uninhabited island. Land is a precious resource. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Resources in general, pirates do attack towns from time to time, especially newer ones. You're going to need defenses. So that's part of what's being built here. So there is a lot of stone that's been incorporated, but it's still pretty easy for you just to kind of like walk around where some of the walk through future doorways. They're not doorways just yet, but you can kind of like see the layout from the inside. And yeah, you can kind of tell that a tower, like there's a circle of stones, is going to be built at that highest point. That's probably going to be what Rollin mentioned was the observation tower. And you can easily get there. It doesn't even, come up to your horse knees. And you've found yourself at the highest point of the island. And it is nighttime now. It is a pretty clear night. Stars circling above, and it is quiet.
I probably I spend a good amount of time pacing back and forth anxiously. Now that I'm out of the forest where I was with Brenna earlier, the talking of like the trees and the grasses and the water and the wind and the dirt has like gone down, but it has been replaced with something else talking instead, which is far more vast and far more loud than what I was hearing earlier.
Exactly. It's like walking from one room of conversation to a room of like conversation almost in a different tone or a different language. Both languages you understand, but yeah, it's a big shift for sure.
So there's a lot of pacing, listening before I shake my head and like stop, probably like right in the center of that stone where the observation tower is going to be. Okay, this didn't work last time, but let's try again. I wish I had a way to reach out to you that was reliable. And I will raise my staff up to the sky, looking at all the twinkling stars, and just reach out.
Yeah. And you are reaching out to.
Ace. The
Okay.
I believe the Elmborg druid said he was also a warforged.
Yes.
He, him, they?
They.
Okay.
Actually, it might even be they. Let me double check what Ace, because we
You
have not
just
met Ace.
we haven't
Yeah.
met them. I was
I
just
at
told
least
there's a
I have
friend.
they them for Ace. So we're going to say they them.
Okay, cool beans.
Um. Okay. So you reach out, and maybe it is the fact that this is a perfectly clear night. Maybe it is because you are at this high point. Maybe it's because of Brenna's instruction and you found this better connection to nature. For whatever reason, as you reach out, it's almost like when you're reaching for something that you just can't quite grasp, only to realize that you can shift just slightly and reach that extra inch to grab it. It's that invisible hand that you are reaching out towards the stars, your mental acuity, whatever it is, your spirit even extends that little bit more, and it makes that connection, and it connects to the stars themselves. And as you look up, it's almost like constellations are forming above you and the stars are moving about. Not literally, the stars aren't changing. It's not like the shards are falling where they literally moved. This is you finding a path, like almost like, um cutting away through the forest to find this path. You are finding your path through the stars and finding that connection point to this other person who can do the same. And as you close your eyes, you find yourself almost surrounded in starlight. And all of these bits of light begin to connect to one another. These lines of constellations then begin to form shapes more and more intricate as they go along. And it's almost as if the world around you is reshaped in starlight. And you hear a voice that says, "Hello?
Am
Hello,
I
is someone there?"
am I speaking to Ace?
"You are."
I didn't think that would work.
"To whom am I speaking?"
My name is Acacia, and I talked to, I think, a friend of yours named Effigy in Elmborg in a druid grove. And this is the second time I've tried to reach out to you, but it didn't work the first time. So I'm actually very surprised it worked this time. Hi.
"Hello, Acacia. Yes, Effigy mentioned that you might be contacting me. I didn't expect it to be this way, but come on over."
Where is over?
"First time,
Yeah.
push forward just a little bit more."
First time is a very apt description. I literally just turned into a different animal for the first time today.
"Congratulations. That's very fun."
And I'll imagine myself pushing forward just a smidgen.
And as you do, that starlight, almost like in hyperspace, the light speed just streams past you, and you find yourself, as you open your eyes, surrounded in light. And as you look around, you realize that you are in a totally different place, but not really. As you look down at your own hands, your own body, it's like you yourself are made of little bits of starlight, all just twinkling, slightly fading, little bits of like not night sky, but just like it, it's almost like astral projecting in a way, where you are starlight. And standing in front of you is a warforged, not a lot of metal on them, a lot of wood. There's a metal faceplate, but the body is, twisted, intricate kind of wood beneath, metal paneling more is what we're talking about, as opposed to like Curio, who is almost completely Tin Man. And you are, when I talk about bright light, it is like a snowy scape around you, a white landscape around you. And you don't feel cold, but you can tell that the wind is blowing pretty harshly. And there are snowflakes around you, and the sun is out. It is daytime where you are. And Ace is wearing I'm gonna say they have like a scarf around them. Not a lot of other clothing. They also don't really feel cold. You don't feel cold because you're not physically there. They don't feel cold because they don't have
I
their
know the
bodies.
deal about Warforged.
Right. And you would look around to see ruins frozen partially in ice, like the remnants of an ancient city. These large stone buildings all around you that are just scarred and marked by ice and snow and rime, and statues that have partially crumbled in the wind, and a castle that is not very far from you. And Ace just can stand there and goes, "Hello,
Um,
it's nice to meet you, Acacia."
I don't wave at first. I'm too distracted by how I am sparkling like starlight. And I think instead of like what you described, I'm my astral projection self is more of dark blues and oranges and tans. If any of you have ever seen the Pillar of Creation Nebula, that's what I am heavily basing this off of. It's gorgeous. Go look at it. I think there have been newer pictures in the last several years recently. It's perfect. So I'm
Oh,
looking at my hand as I'm like moving it around. But when they do greet me, I will look up and give a small wave before taking a couple steps closer to them.
welcome. I didn't expect your call at this point, but still, wonderful to have you here. You look amazing for this being your first time.
How did you well, first of all, what exactly did I do? And two, how did you expect me to reach out?
First of all, uh, it's a type of druid magic that some star druids are able to do. If you can listen to the stars and they can talk back with you and you can reach out through them, there's a network of sorts. And honestly, I thought you would reach out to me with a letter or at most a sending spell, but here you are,
I don't know
more or
sending,
less.
and I don't think post comes out here. And I motion to the icy landscape.
Sometimes it reaches us if the ships are willing to come out this far. I assume you've never been here before. Welcome to Sabotar. This is I'm oh, how do I explain this? I'm an archaeologist of sorts. I'm an explorer, and I came with an expedition up here to explore the stars, but also to explore this ancient city, long abandoned by the orcs. And as you're kind of like looking around now, you can see that you're somewhat close to water.
Okay.
Um, I would say you probably recognize, where like the abandoned orc lands are.
Can you like
Um,
change the map to like the world map and
yeah.
point out where this is?
Oh, I didn't realize you all were on the world
I'm
map.
still on the
Oh,
Hydra map.
you're on the Hydra map. There we go. Okay, so you all, um, it should be changed over now to the main
Mm-hmm.
map,
Yes.
and Savitar should be right up. It's almost. I'm looking up to the top left.
Okay, I
So
see it.
Savitar is like right up here. So this whole area, kind of like what that circle encapsulates, used to be much of what the Orcish homelands were. Um, you're kind of in like a pseudo ice age right now,
Okay.
where a lot of that land got covered in ice, and now it's known as the Frozen Crown. And when that happened, I mean, it was like a glacier was moving steadily, not like
Yeah.
like it's gonna crush them, but every day the glacier would get closer and closer to the Orc homelands. So it became this diaspora where they all left, and basically abandoned this homeland, which then became mostly encapsulated by ice. And they didn't take everything with them, and everything kind of got literally frozen in time. So now it's an interesting place for archaeologists who are daring enough to go that far north, because there are dangerous things up there, and also want to explore and try to, find things. So
Mhm.
as you're looking around, you can see that there are, almost near the waterway, there are tents set up, somewhat similar to the Goliath tents, where they're much hardier.
Mhm.
And you can see that there are some orcs heavily bundled, all kind of moving about.
Um, I didn't catch you at a bad time, did I?
No, no, absolutely not. I'm more than happy to speak with you. Um, what can I help you with?
How much taller am I than them?
Oh, they're probably 6 foot. I always mention kind of Warforged right around 6 foot. So you're what, 14 feet? No, that seems really
I think
tall.
I
I
think
can't remember how
Michael
tall a
put
creature
me
is.
at like my head at 8 feet.
Okay. You are taller than them
Okay.
regardless.
I
Yeah.
just wanted if I needed to know if I was taller than him enough where it would be beneficial for me to lay down. But no, I'm
I
not.
think that they're just doing this. They're not doing this.
Yeah. Um so this is all very new to me and my questions I have a lot of I have simultaneously a lot of questions but also not a lot of questions, especially since I talked to Brenna earlier today. How, what, where, when, why? Yes.
All right. Let's start one at a time. How how what?
How do I
We could start with yes if that's an easier question.
No, the yes is just not very. That's just me babbling. Um, what I'm trying to say is that this is all incredibly new to me, but there has been a nagging for a very, very long time, and it has recently risen up into a crescendo, and I don't know what my next steps are or should be, and so on and so forth.
All right. Um, Being a druid is new to you, or the connection to the stars is new.
The stars is older. They've
That's what's been nagging at you.
That's been the nagging for a very long time since I was a
Mhm.
foal. The druid part is very, very new. Um, a friend assisted me earlier today of a different type of druid, though.
All right.
She can't really help with the star part.
You can, but I'll do what I can.
Why are there so many fewer star druids? Sorry, you can answer in any order you'd like that. Just if I didn't say it, I was going to forget.
I'm not sure there's necessarily fewer of us. We just are more spread apart. I think stars call to a lot of people. I think one of my personal theories is a lot of ship captains are actually secretly star druids who just didn't really embrace it all the way. Stars guide a lot of us in this world. We look to them as navigation, and if that's not listening to the stars, then I don't know what is. But I think there's also something difficult about listening to something so far away, something you can't reach. I'm not saying it's easier to be a druid of the land or the sea or anything like that. Absolutely is equivalent difficulty, but there is something about making yourself connect to something you'll never touch that can be hard for people. It
Can
can
be
be scary.
lonely.
It can be. Stars themselves being lonely bits of light, never touching.
How, no
So
matter how far
I
they
think
are apart, too.
exactly. We can connect constellations, but they don't do that for themselves. So I think that's maybe part of why star druids are harder to find. But there's also something brave about listening to them, like you have, nagging feeling or not.
They're hard to ignore. when they've been singing at the back of your mind for a very long time.
They certainly want to be heard. I'm sorry, I forgot your other question.
Same, but it was mostly me trying to figure out the how, the what, and the where, and the why, and the next steps. That's what it was. Like, I'm more in tune than I have been or was before, but I still feel like I'm flailing.
I'm not sure if that's a star thing. That just might be a growing up thing. Again, the stars can be used for navigation. You can rely on them to lead you from one point to another, but you're not always going to know what that point is.
You sound like my dad's.
I don't mean to. I
And
have a lot of
Stargazer Nev.
well, they sound like very wise people then. I wish that the stars were some sort of fortune-telling device, but if you want that, go be a divination wizard. I can only tell you that the stars have never really led me wrong, and they have led me to some rather interesting stories in my rather prolonged life.
What have they led you to? If you don't mind me
Places,
asking.
no, not at all. They've led me to places like this place where very few people go anymore, but a place of history and story and myth, and they've led me on adventures with friends, and they've always been there. That's the nice thing about them. That's the most reliable thing. Sometimes forests will rot away. Sometimes um, lakes will dry up. Sometimes I don't know. Environments are not always perfectly reliable. They shift and change, but the stars are always there. So there's a sense of continuity in them.
When they guided you, did what came first? Their guidance or your desire to find something and then they guided you to that?
Oh, at different times, both, really. It was in the times when I wasn't sure what was next that they guided me most, or at least helped me find the thing I was looking for. That's a tough question. Because certainly sometimes I knew what I was looking for and the stars would help me get there, but other times they would lead me to something else that I actually needed instead.
I think that's kind of where I am right now. Not knowing
I
the next
understand.
steps. Well, I have a potential path forward, but it's not so simple and cut and dry where we can just go and do it. There's a lot of other moral complications and so on and so forth. That risks should we be taking?
Sure. It's not easy, but Acacia, I don't mean to ask questions. It's just us meeting and we're becoming friends, but these are some deeper questions, and
Sorry.
I am no apologies needed. It seems like you could use a little bit of guidance, and I'm more than happy to provide what guidance I can.
Please.
I just want to know what sort of things have the stars led you to, if anything. You said this is new. I'm just curious what your experience has been.
The thing is, I don't know if the stars actually led me to that. In a way, they did. So please bear with me as I try to parse this out because I don't know if it was the stars or just the circumstances of, for lack of a better word, adventure I was dragged on.
Mhm. And you think those things are separate?
Though they are very connected because of. This is going to be a very rude question, and I apologize. And it is a very rude question. My dad would probably berate me. Um,
You're forgiven in advance.
how old are you?
Oh, it's been a long time since I've done this math. Let's see. You would notice that in all of the wood and metal, there is a metal chest plate. They do have a reliquary.
So I figured.
I was an elf before I was this, and I believe my transition, as it was around the age of 890-ish. And on top of that, carry the 5. I think I'm right around 1200.
And Derek, how long ago did that's still pretty young in the comparison of things of flooding and stuff, right?
They're pre-flood.
They're pre-flood. When? How long ago was the flooding?
Oh, the flood I think was something like 800-ish. I don't have it written down in front of me, but it was around a millennia ago.
Okay. Okay. And so you are an archaeologist and studier of history as well.
I'm a bit of it myself.
Okay. So you'll probably yes, as are many Warforged. um so what the very first thing, and I think the only thing, at least to my knowledge, uh other than what I've been trying to parse out now, is the initial desire to learn about the elders and the stars.
Ah, good that you asked about them. Why don't you walk with me? This is actually a wonderful place to explore some of that. And they turn and go walking up these, frozen stone steps and further into this. I'm gonna say it's like a citadel kind of area where you are. There's these massive fortifications. It's well known in history that orcs were a not like aggressive militarized people, but Orklands. So the area to the north was really important because it had access to a very specific type of metal called anyway, that metal that I'll look up in just a second.
Insert metal
Uh,
name here.
yeah, I'm actually gonna because
It's
it's
not
the thing they also
mithril.
have.
Is it adamantine?
No, it's oh, that's not helpful.
Is it a real world
Or
metal or a D&D metal?
it's the metal that's supposed to be from orichalcum. There we go.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Thanks, Google. They had a specific access to deposits of orichalcum, which they would even use for like currency. Or orichalcum was this great metal for transitioning of energy,
Is
and
that
they
what
would
the
also
astrolabe is made out of?
no,
Okay,
no, but
okay.
good guess. Yeah, yeah, the astrolabe is something else entirely. Orichalcum has like it's almost like pre-corroded copper in a way, or pre-corroded bronze. Um, But because of that, orc lands were constantly being attacked because it was rare, which and useful, so they were trying to steal. So
Mm-hmm.
orc
Mm-hmm.
lands kind of inherently took on a militaristic vibe for defensive purposes. And then also were, because they had the military, would then fight as well. Anyway, so this has being a port city has kind of the citadel to it, a lot of walls, a lot of fortifications to it, a lot of them away. But Ace is leading you up these stairs and further into one of the buildings, which looks like it has been kind of like excavated in a way. They've gotten the ice off. They've gone
Mm-hmm.
further in, and they cast light on one of their hands and just use it to illuminate the space. You go further and further. You yourself giving off a sort of light, excuse me, as well. And they get to a certain point where there are hieroglyphs on the inner walls here, and they kind of trace their fingers over some of the hieroglyphs and indicate you can see here where there's some stories about the elders. The orcs were one of the first peoples to, what we believe, interact with the elders. There were certain branches of humans and elves as well, but and dwarves. But the elders definitely. gave some of their knowledge to the orc people of the north.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see how they connected with them and connected them to the stars. And what you see on this hieroglyph is kind of that form that you were familiar with, that six-handed form. This one actually has four arms on it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's splayed out almost Vitruvian man style, where its body has segmented. And as you're looking at the segments, it's almost like it's like been shattered like glass or like a puzzle. And as you're looking, all of these little pieces of it look very similar to the shard that you have. And then they have indicated these seven-pointed stars all around this Vitruvian man style. You see, it is part of the orcs' belief that the elders broke themselves apart and placed themselves among the stars. So it is very reasonable that if you have any interest in elders, that they may be contacting you through the stars for certain. I personally have never spoken to an elder. It's, but I do find them interesting.
There's, I don't know, there's like a whole thing going on, a whole, I don't know, history, future history, plot. Plot's not the right word. That is far too strong a word. But we are in possession of a used shard.
Interesting.
And I have a handy little magic mirror that allows me to see its history. And based off what I've seen, I do think that orcish belief and many of the other beliefs within many other cultures, the centaurs included, I think that's correct.
There's more to the story. And they hold up their illuminated hand to show further up on the wall. The orcs believed that the elders, granting them gifts, being the progenitors of the gods in many ways, some think that the elders were some of the first to actually take mortals and raise them to godhood. I'm half and half on that one. But they at least believed that the elders were beneficent and helpful, and they also believed that they placed themselves among the stars to help us against a greater darkness, them being the light to the darkness of the void. And as the hand raises and the light illuminates, you would see that familiar undulating kind of creature, this worm-like creature, where they have detailed it, where almost like part of it has been scratched out, and you can see that part of the hieroglyphs have actually been scratched out, almost like a chisel's been taken to them, where writing once was. And this thing, almost like this leviathan of the night sky, is just bearing down on this elder that's stretched out, and it's as if there's this barrier between the two. And the elders keep these things from bringing darkness to Damaris, is how the myth goes.
I'll
Story.
uh I'll reach out, whether I can physically reach or not. I will reach up and touch the mural on the wall, looking at that undulating mass, just very quiet, staring at it.
Yeah, there's a little bit of physicality to you. Like if you really pushed, you could move through the wall, but there's a stop. There's a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of resistance that you can get there. No one's really sure what those things are called. The others, the unknown, they're all given names, the unnameable ones, all the different things like that, but no actual name has ever been recorded. As far as we know, those scratched out bits there were the name that apparently someone didn't want others to know about.
I've seen this before.
I would say if they had a jaw to drop, it would. The their face just turns and looks at you. I'm what?
Maybe this has to do with more of the stars guiding me. I thought it was just a drunken dream. I'm going to be quite honest. But one evening, I had a dream about a ship in the stars. and I saw that, as well as what I can only assume to be an elder.
Oh my.
It was
Well,
um it was definitely a cosmic crisis. Um and I have promptly tried to forget about it, as terrifying as it was.
I don't blame you. Well, Acacia, that is. I don't blame you for reaching out. That's a lot.
Honestly, I forgot about it until you showed me the mural, so.
Huh. Well, I'm going to have to jot that down, I suppose.
So I.
Listen, it seems like you have a lot going on, but some people trust in gods, and I put my faith in the stars, and I don't think that they lead me any differently than if I were to pray to Helm or to Mora or anyone else. In fact, I think that they're just, in a lot of ways, one and the same.
Listen, I. Never hurts to pray to Tamora for a little luck.
True.
But maybe that's what they're calling about. Maybe. I don't know. Do you. Since we're on the topic of elders, do you know of any civilizations or remnants, physical remnants on Damaris right now?
Mm. Physical remnants of elders are
Or their places, any not necessarily them.
a lot of places where the elders were are places where our peoples in greater are now. That is where the foundations of civilization were. So a lot of older cities are built on top of elder foundations. I'm not even going to say ruins. I know that elder artifacts are often in great demand and have a sense of magic, a pull to them that also attracts other creatures. That sometimes even beings that aren't exactly sure what they have want that thing just by the very nature of it. I've seen trolls go after elder artifacts, not even knowing what they are, but just smelling the magic on them.
My
So,
I don't say anything, but as they're saying it, I'm thinking back to um Eula, as
mhm.
well as I don't know a lot, but like I think back to Scarlett's worm daddy friend.
The Worm Daddy. The second you all actually put the astrolabe together, the Morkoth attacked.
Oh, it's
So
true,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, it gives off it gives off an energy, an aura that some monsters kind of pick up on. So a lot of things are held in museums, or colleges, especially if you visited Olmborg, you might have seen at their university the collection that they have. Other things are held in treasure troves. I know there's quite a few objects that are held on Terraconus just because the dragons were attracted to them.
Uh,
Actually, one of the issues that we've had here was fighting off ice giants, frost giants, as they, first of all, just want the stuff we have in the first place, but they also seem to have some sort of attraction to some of the artifacts here that we've been uncovering.
Random question, Derek. The
Mhm,
the astrolabe, that extra piece Roland gave us that turned it
mhm.
into another type of artifact,
Compass.
the
Yeah,
compass. Are we still able to take it apart?
I would say so.
All right. I probably keep my piece on me when it's not in active use.
Okay.
Um,
I think the way that I'm trying to conceptualize it is like it's almost magnetic. Like it takes a second to pull it apart, but it can be pulled apart.
okay. And then while they're talking, I'm fiddling with my piece of the astrolabe. Then
So you're made a little bit of Cosmos and Starlight, but I think they would at least recognize a little bit like the shape of the piece.
Hmm.
And again, looking up to you as you are fiddling with your necklace, it seems as if you might have come across a piece.
Yes, several pieces actually.
Interesting.
It's a whole thing we're dealing with right now. So
Fair enough.
that's the quickest, easiest way to explain it.
Well, it sounds like you have at least a group to work with, as you said we. Um, if you ever find yourself up north looking for any particular artifacts, I am more than happy to show you around.
I appreciate it.
We're
And if
only going further north.
oh jeez, and I was about to say if you find yourself a little more south, there are people in Undertow that would like to talk to you probably, or at least be interested in, myself included.
I'll see what I can do, but we are making our way to the former capital, which is somewhat further north, and as I understand it, that is where the real treasure trove of elder artifacts might be, if it is any.
It will not be an easy trek.
Few things are. Oddly enough, we've had some people just stumble in over the past couple of months into camp, and our numbers have grown.
What do you mean by stumble?
Some people just coming in from the east, from the waste, um, wearing furs and things like that, just looking for food, and they've been useful in combat. And one individual is actually very apt at making campfires in places where you wouldn't think that a fire could be made.
I give them a look. Orc, half orc, tall.
A lot of half orcs, yes.
No, I'm talking about the one that's really good at making campfires.
Right, yes, yes. Ooh, Craig,
Greg,
Greg, Greg. That's it. Yes.
arsonist. Uh,
Oh, I wouldn't call him that. He's just likes making campfires. It's
because
hard to burn things in the snow, but he's very good at it.
Derek, we were in the oh god, the icebox was in the crown, right?
Certainly was.
Uh, keep him around. He helped us out last time we were in the crown. So
Oh, I. What a small world Damaris is.
yeah, let's put it. Yeah, no, he's. I have nothing but praise for him.
Wonderful. Then, yes, Acacia, this has been wonderful. Are there other questions that I can help you with? You're welcome to astrally stay here for as long as you like.
Are there aurora borealis lights up here, Derek?
There are, yes.
Then I'm, as they say that, I will look up or look up at the borealis lights, and I think I'll stay here a little longer. Um, Thank you. I still feel lost, but less lost than before. So,
You'll find your way, Acacia. I have no doubt. I've I have all the faith in the stars in you.
thanks. It's good to know that there are people who do when I don't feel like I know what I'm doing.
And yeah, they just nod to you, go walking off, trudging in the blowing snow. And yeah, it's we'll say that it's night, absolutely aurora borealis above, and you sit there under the what can only really look like magic. Even in a world of magic, how does aurora borealis look any less magic than what you can do?
I do have a
Of
question.
course.
Do the stars say anything right now?
I think when you're this far north, and with the connection that you have to them, especially since you are almost made of them at this point, there is a sort of like hum that you're kind of giving off, and picking up on. Um, I think if again we've kind of established like the stars don't speak in full sentences. It's a lot of concepts, a lot of ideas, and I think what they are saying to you are things like new adventure is on the horizon. Um, don't stay in one place. Trust in yourself. Be a light in dark places. Um, cool weasel form, stuff like that.
Sorry. And then I did have one last question about the stars
Mhm.
tonight. Um, when I think was it, as I look up, I will take out my. It's gonna look completely different because I'm incredibly far north when I first started my star chart.
Mhm.
But I want to take out my star chart and like do a look. First of all, maybe get some new constellations and more star charts
Sure.
down from up here versus what I have right now. But
Mhm.
I'd like to attempt to locate a what I believe could be another shard and listen to that
Okay.
instead.
Okay. Um,
This
all
might need a
right.
roll. It's a little harder.
No, I don't think
No?
it necessarily needs a roll because we did establish that you, at least when you're using finding a shard, I think is going to be the difficult thing because you only have one piece of the astrolabe.
No, no.
So we did a step.
Well,
I'm sorry.
no, because when we were on the ship and we were first, like, this
Mhm.
is back in season one, when we
Right.
were looking at when we made it, we put it all
Mhm.
together for the first time. I did spend a lot of time looking through it and
Mhm.
making note of what shined brighter and what were shards.
Right.
Yes.
So yes, you do have that. Um, I guess my question is so we mm,
It's okay. You can say no. I'm just,
no I want to make this work. I'm trying to think how this would work. So you've identified shards in the area. You're just making a new chart based off of the previous information that you had, right?
I'm not necessarily, I'm making just a general star chart of the north, but
Okay.
if I notice any, but the stars from where I am right now, far
Hmm.
north versus when I initially made the chart, the sky's gonna look different. Period.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but if I can identify a shard, I want to listen to it like I would the stars.
I got you. I got you.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Absolutely. You have time. You make the star chart. Um, I will say that yeah, you at least from your connection right now can kind of ping in on a shard in this expanse. And oh gosh, this I think you hear a genuine voice at this point. It's not like interpreting a song. There's like a fragment of a voice that's kind of coming through. And yeah, I you are contacting a shard. I think it absolutely does talk to you, and it says hello.
Once again, I didn't expect this to work. Hi.
There's someone there. Hello.
Are you an actual elder or a remnants of an elder? Being broken up cannot be pleasant. Hi.
Hello. I yes, I am those things. It's fine. Who are you?
My name is. Sorry, I'm in a little bit of shock. I did not expect to get this far. Um,
Strange name, but
my name's Acacia.
it's hello occasion.
Um, the elders. This is parts to myself. I'm not speaking to the what I now know is an elder. So elders do exist. This is opportunity of a lifetime, and I don't even know where to start.
Has it
Shit.
been that long that people think we don't exist?
You're a fairy tale in many, many places.
Hmm, that's unfortunate.
There's a lot of people. There are people who definitely do believe that do want to harness what you left behind and just want to know, but no, many people don't just think you're a myth.
I had hoped our impact was greater than that. Oh well. What can I do for you, Acacia, if anything?
I don't. I think I just need time to process right now, but. It, do you have a name?
Not one I've used in a very long time, and not one that is easy to say in common. You are welcome to address me however you wish.
If it helps, I'm trying to learn Elder. If you want to give it a shot.
Um, yeah, I will type something out that's Elder Sunday. They try Elder. Do you think that it's something that Acacia picks up on?
It depends. How much time? How much else have I done with Scarlet?
I don't think a lot. I think Scarlett's been preoccupied on her other ship.
I try really hard.
Yeah, I think this is like somebody who's just learned the colors and all the cuss words, trying to talk to somebody conversationally
Oh, absolutely.
in
I've learned
another
all the cuss
language. Yeah.
words.
Should I switch back?
Please. I will. I will get it correct.
That's all right. You know I helped invent this language. Common.
If it's okay, it sounds like you have not talked to anyone in a very, very long time.
Someone on your plane? No. But I have spoken to all the other elders. We speak constantly. And the other pieces of myself. We are always in contact.
If it's okay,
My left thigh is particularly chatty.
I don't know where to start or begin, and if it's okay and you're willing, I think I'd just like to listen.
You are welcome to. And if it helps, Acacia, there is no start. There is no end. Start there, ironically, and everything else will be easier. It is as it always has been. And at that, it's like your mind opens to the stars, and where it once was music, it now is like a choir of conversation. Not cacophonous is like, a dining room full of patrons, but a like a cathedral full of harmonic trained singers, all working together, all transferring thought and ideas. And it's complex. I mean, it's probably really complex for a mortal mind to grasp. You're picking up on. I think it sounds like music to you because that is the most transferable way for you to get it, and you're not getting everything. I don't think any mortal mind could pick up on everything that they're saying, but you're hearing the voice of gods.
And if it's okay with you, Derek,
Mm.
I think what happens as I listen farther and I listen deeper to this choir with this just massive influx of a lot, I am just snapped out of the star projection.
Yeah. Just fades
Gone.
away.
Yeah.
Yeah. And feel free to yellow card this if this is too far. I think that there's a little bit of a
Oh,
nosebleed.
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a lot on a brain.
Yeah,
Um,
just a smidge.
the one thing I'm going to throw in there as you push further, as you, I think almost unintentionally, you push past the song and accidentally you push past the stars into that void. And in that void, in that darkness, as you have moved past the song itself, you hear a single voice. And it is like 1,000 voices all speaking in unison, but in different like in different tones. So this is cacophonous. And it says, "Hello, little one. I'm coming for you."
Mm.
And that's when you snap out of it.
And I think when I come to in the middle of this stone circle, in what is to be Rollins' observatory and tower, I am nose bleeding, slightly shaking, but also simultaneously reaching into my pack, grabbing a notebook and a pen or pencil, and writing until dawn.
Um, I I think if you are sitting out there at one point, Rollin in like his nightgown essentially comes out. He's got a little Ebenezer Scrooge hat. Um, but he walks up behind. His footsteps are easy enough to hear. Are you all right?
Absolutely the fuck not.
All right then. Good night. And he
Good
turns around
night.
and
I will have to
walks
pick
back
your
to his desk.
brain. I will need to pick your brain at a later date.
All right, you know where to find me.
And I will just keep writing.
Okay. I think that's where we're gonna wrap up this session.
Derek, that was a lot. And a
That was
very
a
apt
lot.
description of I fuck around and I find out.
You know what? If Acacia was going to wear like a novelty T-shirt, I think that's what it would say. That and Cosmic Crisis. The Cosmic Crisis would be like the little logo.
It's a pin.
It is. Is there anything else that you wanted to do with Acacia?
Nope, that's it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, everyone,
Yeah,
for
great.
joining us for this pre-recorded session. Again, to reiterate, if you enjoy Mayor, which obviously, how could you not? If you enjoy the rest of our cast and crew and this show, you can always support us through pally.gg, which you can see in chat. And yeah, you can tip us there, and everything gets evenly distributed, and it doesn't take the cut that Twitch does. All that said, I am Derek. I have been your GM for this session. I'm going to have Mayor say a little bit more about themselves, where you can find their lovely self. So, Mayor, where can people find you?
Hello, I'm Mare. You can find me on Twitter at Archmage of Dice for as long as the website continues to exist. As always, you can find me here on Saturday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, playing your lovely Star Druid Rogue Acacia. On Sunday nights at 6 p.m. Eastern over on Neon Lights Roleplay for, by the time this airs, probably anywhere between 3 and 5 more sessions. I run a game called Weaver Pillars of Ink, which is a Gothic Souls-like TTRPG where I have made my players cry in more episodes than not. It's great. It's traumatic, but it's fun. And starting on August 2nd, as part of the Team Side Quests campaign to raise money for JDRF International, I'll be running a game of Magical Kitties Save the Day, where magical kitties will be saving the day to raise money. I think that's it. Wait, never mind. You won't my charity game, I will be in a charity game the day before this airs over on GM Hina's channel, where they are running a bunch of thirst games for thirsty sword lesbians. Mine was yesterday as of this air date, but the rest of the Fridays for the rest of the month there will be more. So please go check out some of those where her and their casts are raising money for Trans Lifeline.
Definitely go check that out. Fantastic. And how many weeks does Magical Kitty Save the Day run for?
It's about going to be 4 sessions, so it'll be running
4
throughout the
sessions.
month of August.
Perfect. Okay. Well, again, my name is Derek Sword. I use he, him pronouns. You can find me on Twitter, again, as Mayor said, while it still is above the sinking waves. You can find me there at dsword16. Some Sword and Key stuff to shout out. First of all, Sword and Key is also found on Twitter. It's at sword_and_key, just underscores between the 3 words. But you can find all of our links at beacons.ai/sword and key, all one word. And you can find everything there, including the Pally links for this show, for any of our other shows that have Pally links up, as well as donation links for games like Brindlewood Bay. All the stuff is there in one place. So upcoming shows, let's see, today, there we go. Today, actually, as this is airing, is the 15th. So this is the Acacia one shot. Let's see, I had the wrong calendar pulled up. There we go. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time, we have Vast Grim, which is a sci-fi horror game that I am actually in, but is GM'd by the incredible Anik. After that, at 2:30 p.m. Pacific, we have Brindlewood Bay, which our founder Eva is in, and that's like Murder She Wrote meets Cthulhu, Call of Cthulhu. It's very fun. It's very whimsical. They're playing old lady murder, like true crime writers, all at a convention. It's very enjoyable. That is every other Sunday. So again, that'll be the 16th. And then next week, on the 22nd at 3 p.m. Pacific time, we have the last in our character development series of Winnie, the sea elf, played by the very lovely Eva. So after that, on the 29th, we will go back to regular sessions of Horizon's Call. And then, yes, as Mare mentioned, starting August 2nd, we do have Magical Kitty's Save the Day, which should be going for 4 sessions throughout the month of August. So that is something y'all get to look forward to. Also, the thing I always forget, the podcast Monster Crush, which I co-host with my friend Heavenly, where we talk about monsters, cryptids, creatures, all that kind of stuff, is part of the Sword and Key Network, and is released wherever podcasts are found every other week. So as of this, let's see, Monster Crush will be coming out tomorrow. That's a fun one. So this will be one about the Ropin, which is like a pterosaur-like cryptid from Papua New Guinea. Okay, folks, that is it for me, for Sword and Key. Again, a very special thank you to Mare for taking time out of their week to do this. Again, this was a pre-recorded session. We will see you all next week for Winnie's character development session. And until that time, fair winds and following seas, brave mariners. Take care of yourselves.
Bye.